You've been taught that getting rich means working harder, longer hours, and grinding until you burn out. I believed that lie for years. I worked 80-hour weeks, said yes to everything, and filled every moment with what I thought was productive activity. The result? I was broke, exhausted, and trapped in a cycle of busy work that led nowhere. The breakthrough came when I discovered that wealth isn't about doing more. It's about doing dramatically less of the right things while completely eliminating everything else. I call this targeted laziness, and it's the opposite of what every productivity guru teaches. Instead of adding systems and habits, I subtracted ruthlessly. Instead of optimizing my time, I deleted entire categories of work. The result was counterintuitive. By becoming strategically lazy, I tripled my income in 18 months while working half the hours. Most people know the 80-20 rule, but they apply it wrong. They think it means focusing on the 20% of tasks that produce 80% of results. That's still thinking like a worker, not an owner. Targeted laziness takes this principle to its logical extreme. What if 5% of your activities produce 95% of your wealth? Here's what I discovered through painful trial and error. In any business or career, there are only 2 or 3 activities that actually generate money. Everything else is either maintenance, busy work, or elaborate procrastination disguised as productivity. The problem is we've been conditioned to believe that being busy equals being valuable. We mistake motion for progress and activity for achievement. Targeted laziness flips this script entirely. Instead of asking, how can I do this more efficiently, you ask, how can I never do this again? Instead of optimizing low-value tasks, you eliminate them completely. This creates what I call an identity vacuum. When you stop doing the things that keep you trapped in your current financial reality, you force your brain to find new neural pathways. Your identity has no choice but to evolve to fill the space you've created. The key insight is this: your current income is a direct reflection of your current identity. If you want to change your financial reality, you can't just add new behaviors on top of old ones. You have to subtract the behaviors that are keeping you stuck. This is where most people fail because it requires brutal honesty about what actually matters. I want you to track everything you do for 1 week, not just work tasks, but every email, every meeting, every phone call, every administrative task. Write it all down with the time spent on each activity. Now comes the hard part. For each activity, ask yourself this question: if I never did this again, would anyone notice in 6 months? You'll be shocked by how much of your daily routine falls into this category. Checking social media, attending status meetings, responding to non-urgent emails, organizing your desk, updating spreadsheets that nobody reads. These activities feel important because they keep you busy, but they're wealth killers. Here's what I eliminated first: all meetings without clear agendas and decision points, all email checking outside of 2 designated times per day, all administrative tasks that could be automated or delegated, and all projects that didn't directly contribute to revenue generation. The result was terrifying at first because I suddenly had hours of empty time each day. But that emptiness was exactly what I needed. Your brain hates vacuums. When you create space by eliminating low-value activities, your subconscious starts looking for high-value activities to fill that space. This is where the magic happens. Instead of being reactive to whatever demands your attention, you become proactive about what deserves your attention. You stop being a responder and start being a creator. Once you've eliminated the obvious time wasters, you move to the next level, automating and delegating everything that remains but doesn't require your unique skills. This is where targeted laziness becomes a wealth-building system rather than just a time management technique. The rule is simple: if someone else can do it for 80% as well as you can, they should be doing it. Your ego will resist this because we've been programmed to believe that doing everything ourselves proves our worth. This is poverty thinking. Rich people understand that their value comes from making decisions, not from executing tasks. Start with the lowest skill activities first. Hire a virtual assistant to handle email management, appointment scheduling, and basic research. Use automation tools for social media posting, invoice generation, and customer follow-up sequences. 40. Set up systems that run without your constant input. The goal isn't perfection, it's liberation from tasks that keep you trapped in the weeds. But here's the crucial part that most people miss. You can't just delegate and disappear. You have to replace those eliminated activities with higher leverage ones. If you free up 10 hours per week by delegating administrative tasks, those 10 hours must be invested in activities that only you can do and that directly impact your income. For me, this meant spending more time on strategic planning, relationship building with high-value clients, and developing new revenue streams. These activities felt uncomfortable at first because they didn't provide the immediate feedback loop that busy work provides. But they were the activities that actually moved the needle on my net worth. The transformation happens when you realize that your time and energy are finite resources that should be invested, not spent. Every hour you spend on low-value activities is an hour stolen from high-value activities. Targeted laziness isn't about working less. It's about working on what matters and being ruthlessly lazy about everything else. Let me tell you about the decision that changed everything. 2 years ago, I was running a consulting business that was slowly killing me. I had 12 clients, each paying modest monthly retainers. I was constantly jumping between projects, putting out fires, and working weekends to keep everyone happy. My income had plateaued at 6 figures, but I was working more hours than when I made half that amount. The breaking point came during a family vacation when I spent 3 hours on a beach call with a client who was panicking about a minor website issue that could have waited until Monday. My daughter asked why Daddy was always on the phone, and I realized I had built a prison disguised as a business. That's when I implemented the most aggressive, targeted laziness strategy of my life. I fired 10 of my 12 clients. Not the worst ones, not the most difficult ones, but the 10 that required the most maintenance and generated the least profit per hour of my attention. My income dropped by 60% overnight, and every financial advisor would have called me insane. But here's what happened next. With 10 clients gone, I suddenly had 30 hours per week of freed up time. Instead of filling that time with more clients at the same level, I used it to develop a completely different service model. I created a high-end strategic consulting package that cost 5 times more than my old retainers but required only 4 hours of my time per month per client. The key insight was this: my old clients were paying for my time and availability. My new clients were paying for my strategic thinking and expertise. Same knowledge, same skills, but packaged completely differently. Within 6 months, I had replaced my old income with just 3 clients instead of 12. Within a year, I had 6 clients at the new level, earning triple what I made before while working half the hours. The laziness wasn't about working less overall. It was about being completely lazy regarding low-value client management, endless email chains, and hand-holding so I could be intensely focused on high-value strategic work. I stopped doing everything that made me feel busy but kept me broke. The psychological shift was profound. When you're juggling 12 clients, you think like a service provider. You're reactive, constantly responding to other people's priorities. When you serve 3 high-value clients, you think like a strategic advisor. You're proactive, setting agendas and driving outcomes. Your entire identity changes and your income changes with it. The biggest obstacle to targeted laziness isn't practical, it's psychological. We've been programmed since childhood to equate activity with virtue and rest with laziness. Our educational system rewards students who stay busy, complete every assignment, and never question whether the work itself is valuable. Our corporate culture celebrates the employee who arrives early, stays late, and volunteers for every project. This conditioning creates what I call productivity guilt. Even when we know that 80% of our activities don't matter, we feel guilty about not doing them. We worry that others will judge us as lazy or uncommitted. We fear that if we stop being busy, we'll lose our sense of identity and purpose. But here's the truth that took me years to accept. Your worth isn't determined by how busy you are. It's determined by the value you create. A surgeon who performs one life-saving operation contributes more to the world than someone who spends 12 hours filing paperwork. The surgeon appears to be working less, but the impact is exponentially greater. The fear of laziness is really a fear of judgment and a fear of irrelevance. We stay busy because busyness feels safe and socially acceptable. But targeted laziness requires courage. It requires the confidence to say no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones. It requires the wisdom to disappoint some people so you can serve others at a higher level. Here's your roadmap to getting rich through strategic laziness. First, conduct your activity audit this week. Track everything and identify the 5% of activities that actually generate wealth. Everything else goes on your elimination list. Second, start saying no immediately. Every yes to a low-value activity is a no to a high-value opportunity. Be ruthlessly protective of your time and energy. Third, invest your freed-up resources in activities that only you can do and that directly impact your income. This is where targeted laziness transforms from time management into wealth building. The goal isn't to work less forever. It's to work less on what doesn't matter so you can work more on what does. When you master targeted laziness, you'll discover that getting rich isn't about grinding harder. It's about being smart enough to be lazy about everything except what truly moves the needle. Your old identity was built on being busy. Your new identity will be built on being valuable. Make the switch and watch your bank account follow.